Ken was a real legend in the tourism industry. He was such a passionate advocate for regional tourism, for Phillip Island in particular, for the Sydney-Melbourne touring route. In fact, anything he was passionate about, he brought such a sense of enthusiasm and purpose.
He was a master of the one-liner, and he had a great set of stories to tell and a humorous way, but at the end of the day, he was very much action-oriented. He delivered, and as I said, he had a vision for the industry, and he prepared to put the time and energy to see that vision come to reality.
I have always in my life been drawn to passionate people, but people who are sincere and caring, and Ken just exuded all of those qualities. He was far and away, I think, one of the most committed and dedicated professionals that I've ever worked with in this industry, that had a love for tourism and a love for Victoria that was unparalleled.
He was always approachable, he was always one to support. He'd come to the regions, he'd work with you. Ken was a man that you could always find the good part of anything that you saw. And things were tight, Ken would always say, "Johnny, we'll work it through." Always work it through. Ken was a very special man. I think everyone knows that. I miss him a lot. I think about him nearly every day.
But on top of Ken's strong advocacy for tourism and what he believed in, I actually liked the guy, and you know, you don't normally make a lot of friends in politics, but I really liked him. And I think I referred to him in Parliament when I did a short speech on him as a character, and he was a real character, and he had an engaging personality. He was warm, he was interesting. I remember I had lunch with him one time. He's just an amazing guy, and it made it so much easier to be the minister, to have an advocate for Country Victoria Tourism who was just so pleasant and so personable to deal with.
He was pretty tough, Ken, and he never shied away from a battle or a difficult conversation or taking on government or funding bodies. So I think it's also another memory of Ken. There's the social fun Ken, but there was also the person that really made things happen and didn't back away from, as I say, difficult situations, tough discussions, or saying what needed to be said.
He went out of his way to connect with you. Whether you were starting a new job or you were new to the industry, he always looked for people who needed a bit of support or assistance. And in my own case, I remember when I went to work in Ballarat, he rang me, and it was the first day I was heading up there, and he rang me at about Melton and said, "I just want to give you the lowdown on what's going down up there."
It's not a matter of just being a leader and delegating the functions, it's rolling up your sleeves, and Ken certainly did that and had a great reputation in the industry of that. But more to the point, he was professional, but he was still a decent man, and a great bloke to be around.
It's not often that people are actually recognised for their great contribution to a sector, and I really feel that the tourism industry on its Night of Nights did a very special thing, singling out Ken for that big award for his individual contribution, because it has been so significant.
Between both Ken Hore and Ken Turner, it was always, they used to love to just sit and watch the faces when I would open my mouth, because of course there was, probably some would say, still a very strong American accent, but it has softened over the years, and that was probably one of the highlights, was actually watching Ken make light of it. And it is, again, what was special about him, because it was never done in a way that was ever seen to be derogatory or in any way rude or to make people uncomfortable. It was actually always in a way to break the ice. And for me, it was great, because it really helped me to feel a lot more comfortable as I tried to get used to life in a new land.
Ken and I went to dinner at the local hotel in Violet Town, of all places. 8 o'clock on a Monday night, the guy said, "I'm sorry, but the kitchen's closed." Ken said, "Think you better open it up. John and I need a steak and a glass of red." He said, "Well, you better buy a bottle of red." So we did that. Ken was a man that you could always find the good part of anything that you saw.
And I know there's a famous story about when I went up in a cherry picker. I think it was when we were putting up the jigsaw signs on the border of Victoria and New South Wales. So I went up in the cherry picker to launch this huge signage strategy, and I heard a lot of laughter from down below. And in those days I was young and I wore short skirts and all of that, and Ken said, Now we'll see if the minister's well briefed. And I knew about that because I had come down from the cherry picker and had asked about what was the comment that had elicited such laughter. And of course, again, everyone's so terribly respectful of ministers, which is good. And it was quite an effort to find out what the joke was. And I thought it was the funniest thing of all time. It's a very funny joke. I think he was actually embarrassed just for a smidgen of time initially, but it was a very funny comment. And I think it's good that people can laugh in those circumstances. I actually valued the fact that I had such a relationship with him that he could say that, and for people not to get offended and actually laugh.
Ken, the family man, yes, he was always there for the kids too. No matter what, it was never too much trouble to just drop everything and do whatever the kids needed to have done. And for me too, he was the same. He was a very generous, soft-hearted fellow, and I often thought many people took advantage of him because he was, he was a bit of a softie.
Ken was so good at supporting people, introducing them to the networks of tourism, understanding that tourism is a people industry, but it needs some structure and you need some guidance with that. So we were really keen to honour him with an industry development program, and we've named it the Ken Hore Tourism Mentoring Program. So it's an opportunity for young or new entrants to the tourism industry in Gippsland and Phillip Island to really have a structured year done for them, introductions made, professional development opportunities, and a lot of support for where they want to go with their career. So we're pleased to partner with Destination Phillip Island and Bass Coast Shire Council that Ken was obviously very involved with. So the organisations and the broader industry have been very supportive, and I think we'll do Ken's name and Ken's family's name and his legacy justice.